Hi, I'm Jennifer Hamilton.
I'm Evan Keller.
Well, some of you may be asking what a child advocate is, and some of you may actually already know what a child advocate is. I have a specific definition of a child advocate, and that is a child advocate is an individual or agency responsible for providing assistance and support for children and families in crisis or in a vulnerable situation. That in definition explains half of the community that we work with in the police department, in our community partners and everything. So this first video is actually about our training series titled Child Advocacy. And this one is titled Interagency, Communication, and Collaboration. I think they're all important pieces, but I think one of the basic important pieces is communication. George Bernard Shaw, I can never pronounce his name correctly, I don't know why, had a really great quote for this one. And it says, "The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place." And sometimes we assume communication has taken place between collaborating agencies, and then it hasn't. And then somebody falls through the cracks through the system that could have potentially been helped a lot quicker. So we have also created a philosophy that goes through the whole child protection or child advocacy training. And that philosophy is, by expanding communication in the community, you can develop a larger outward reach that will assist more people and boost the efficiency to all partnering agencies. Now, our police department has been able to do this because we created a really specialized unit. Our unit is called the Family Crimes and Intervention Unit. Not all police departments have to have a specific name for their unit, but we've created teams and programs and collaborating partners that meet regularly, monthly, to solve the problems of the children and families in crisis in our community. Our Family Crimes and Intervention Unit has 3 victim advocates, a detective, a therapist who works part-time, and then myself. I am the supervisor of the victim advocates. I'm also the child advocate. So a lot of us play duplicate roles in this unit. Creating a child advocate position started several years ago here at the Sandy Police Department, and we'll go more into that information a little later. It kind of correlates with some of the other information we're going to be discussing in this training. But before we continue, I guess we should tell you a little bit more about our qualifications and why we're here. So I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's in business administration. I started working for the juvenile courts years and years ago. And from the juvenile courts, I found that I had a special desire and passion for working with families and children. And so I ended up applying and working for the Division of Child and Family Services here in Utah for several years. And then I left them for a little while to go back to school. And then I ended up working for Child Protective Services in Texas. So getting that unique outside perspective was very, very insightful about how well the system works here, even when there's issues. And then I came back to DCFS here in Utah and worked there for almost 4.5 years before I came here to the Sandy Police Department and started working as a supervisor and a child advocate. So I think that's a little bit about my experience. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yours?
So I'm Evan Keller. I work as the family crimes investigator here at Sandy City, and I do have a bachelor's degree in psychology, master's in business administration. In law enforcement, I've worked as a defensive tactics instructor. I've also taught in the police academy. I've been a field training officer, obviously worked patrol. And then within this position that I have right now, I work as a liaison with Jennifer and the advocates, also work a lot with DCFS, do child interviews at the Children's Justice Center. So it's been a great position, and it's kind of let me see the difference between strictly the law enforcement side and then looking over at how I can coordinate better and how we can work better with people like Jennifer and other social workers.
And I think the next part is yours.
Is yours?
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do, just maybe before with the advocates and the therapists in our unit, I think it's just important to note that part of what we're able to do is drawing on all that different expertise. And I think that feeds into what I want to talk about, because a very common question that we've had as we have trained people on this topic is just, that sounds really cool. I'm glad you guys can do all that, good for you. But how does that actually work and apply within our agency or in the context of where the person who's asking the questions is working? And a big piece out of that is, do you have to do it our way? Do you have to have a full-time child advocate? Do you have to do those things? And of course the answer is no. What this is going to be teaching you how to do is look at the resources you have, look at the problems that you're trying to help people deal with, and then say, okay, is there a way that we can coordinate better? Who could we collaborate with? Who could maybe bridge the gap or pick things up where my job ends so that we can do a better job? Can we limit liability by being more proactive as far as who we're interacting with, which is going to be good for you and for the family that your agency is working with? Another big question out of this is just as you look at it and you say, can we be more efficient? Sometimes people have asked, wow, that sounds great again, but we just don't have time, we don't have the resources. And something I would challenge you with as you watch this training and think about the topics we're going to cover is I believe you actually can find ways to be more efficient and get more done if you'll listen to the things that we're teaching you here today. Because all of a sudden some of these gaps that maybe you're not fully equipped to fill but are trying to because they're important, if you would just reach out and work with your partners better in the community, you would find that they can fill those gaps and that they're already set up to do it. So very excited to share this information with you, and let Jen wrap it up.
Well, I think actually you hit on a really cool thing, and it's when I was in DCFS years ago, and I think they still teach this a little bit. Somebody would have to remind me because I haven't been in training in years at DCFS, but they used to talk about like a toolbox and having the tools that you need in order to help families in that toolbox. And I think that's actually important because sometimes you might not have the tool you need, but the neighboring agency might have it. So why not borrow a tool from the other agency to fill yours, and think outside the box on how to help the different families. I always say that all the time, and anything I ever do is just think outside the box. How can you help somebody differently or uniquely? Because every family, every child, every situation is so different. Like you said, every agency is different, and not everybody's going to have the ability to what we have. But that's okay. Just think outside the box. And then I think about if you have that lack of communication in your area, I think of that movie. Anybody ever see Cool Hand Luke? Actually, the original one, though, the 1967 one. Yes. Yep. They say in there, what we have is a failure to communicate. Right. That happens all the time. And we also, we just messed up on our communication. We forgot to communicate. But we can change that by actually just stepping it up and accessing the resources around us that we have or haven't already utilized yet. So think outside that box and let's get that done.
Great.
This is a series of videos that we're completing here. Evan actually called them, I think, a gaggle of yes. videos. Works for me. But we're going to put up on the screen right now the list of the topics that are going to be covered in the next several videos. So you'll see those. And then below in the description area, you're actually going to find links for the following things. One is a survey to take just to give us feedback. We always love feedback, positive, bad, we want it all. And then there's a quiz. One of the things that we are working on doing is getting credit for everybody that will be viewing these videos. So if you take the quiz, we can prove that you've taken them and you can get credit for watching these videos separately. And when I say credit for everybody, we're looking for posts, we're looking for any of the officers that need credit for ongoing training, CEUs for social workers, and we're looking into educationally what that looks like as well. So please stick with us, watch these videos. They're going to be super helpful, and you'll get credit for them, of course. So And then finally, we've got an information and resources link that we're going to have a whole host of information that we're going to be sharing that might be important for you guys to look up or access at any point in time after this. And then finally, what you'll see coming across the screen is also our contact information. I think that's very important for everybody to have. It'll also be in the description below as well. So if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And so we hope that you'll stick with us and give the rest of the trainings a view.